I was walking up the stairs. I was like, ooh, let me go ruin his night. About to go ruin his night. And I was like, I turned back around. And I called my mom and said, Mom, he the one.
Welcome back to the podcast. I started this podcast as a way to help Black men in all aspects of our lives. Studies show on average we lose 2.8 years of our life when we're under heavy stress. And I think we can gain those 2.8 years back if we express ourselves healthily. Stick with me as I interview therapists, doctors, advocates, activists, and friends about how we can be better as Black men and as a Black community. If you're not subscribed to us on YouTube and following us on Instagram and TikTok, you'll definitely want to do that. Without further ado, let's get into the episode. All right, so we're here. We're with Isaac and Santia. Isaac and Santia, you guys do a lot, right? Yeah. So Isaac, you are the CEO of Unified State Group. You're the president of Eminent Future. Yeah. Santia, you are the owner of Tronus, also the owner of Santia Marie Fashion and Intentional Dating. You guys are doing a lot of business, right? So with that being said, we're not going to talk about any of that today.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about any of that today.
Thank you.
You guys are also just got married.
Yeah.
Dope accomplishment. I'm trying to get there one day. So I always tell people, I do the podcast. The podcast is a selfish thing. I do it for myself mainly, right? But I record it and try to give it to everybody else, right? So I'm in a relationship right now. I'm trying to figure out how do I get to where you guys are, right?
Let's go.
Can you guys take us through your story, first of all? How did you guys meet? And then how did you guys get to this point now where you guys are married?
You want me to go? Okay. Yeah. All right. So it's a pretty interesting, I guess, story as far as like how we actually met, because we met on Bumble. Mm-hmm. So for me, I was like going through this phase where I was like, I'm done with men. I'm just going to focus on myself. It's too stressful. Like just all types of stuff. And I had just like, well, not just, but like almost, I guess it was like 8 months. I had got out of a relationship that was horrible. Mm-hmm. So I was trying to give myself time and all this other stuff. And I had gone through like a whole, I would say, just transformation, because I had to go in and heal some inner trauma and really find out who I was and what I wanted. And so I got on Bumble because it was Valentine's Day. And this sounds so sad, but I was like, I just felt like God was telling me, just get on there one more time, right? Because I was done. Like, I was like, I'm about to delete my account. Like, if I end up connecting with somebody, we're going to have to just talk maybe in a year or two when I get back on, if I ever get back on. And so I got on there. I was swiping. The women have to, like, of course, let the guy know that she's interested. And I came across his profile. And I was like, he's very intentional. Like, he was like, pretty much looking for something serious. Just very like boom, 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 like me. My profile was like, if you're not ready to be a husband, if you're not trying to settle down, don't talk to me because I will block you. And like, just very much like, this is what I want. If this is not you, just don't even try. And so I was like, okay, cool. He's an entrepreneur too. Had no idea what he did, but I'm an entrepreneur. So I was like, okay, at least we have that in common. And he was cute. So I was like, cool, let me go ahead and swipe. And I got off. But I kept thinking about like his profile, and I'm like, why am I thinking about this man that I haven't even had a conversation with?
We gotta know what was on that profile. We're gonna talk about what was on that profile. Yeah.
And so like a few days passed, he did not reach out, like me back. And I was like, all right, I'm done. Whatever, like boom. So I'm going, literally, not exaggerating, I'm going to like delete, and his message slid in. And I was like, at first I was like, oh no, he waited too long. Like, I'm good. Like, he's not the one. But I was like, okay, Santia, calm down. Let's just see what happens. And yeah, that's how we met. And then we started talking.
Yeah.
So what was going on at that time for you? Were you just busy, or you just like?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, okay. For sure. Okay. So the first day, so you said we talked. The first day I reached out to you was, I think, February 14th.
Wait, was it?
Yeah, it was Valentine's Day. And I didn't even know. I wasn't even thinking about it, bro, like at all. It wasn't even crossed.
It was a few days before Valentine's Day.
Yeah, when you first reached out, it was a few days, and then we actually talked for the first time. It was on Valentine's Day.
That's like, actually true.
That day. And for me, I had just went through my own healing journey, bro. Like, I had just got out of a previous relationship, and that was the first time I got to this point where I was able to set boundaries for myself and like prioritize what I wanted and not just, you know, bypass my needs in a way that left me vulnerable and compromised. And what I mean by that is like actually saying, no, you're not going to gaslight me. You're not going to make me think that I'm doing something that I'm not, or that I am something that I'm not. And I'm not dealing with this anymore. I put my foot down. And so I got to that place where I was like, you know what? It's either you accept me for who I am or this ain't gonna work.
Right.
And it didn't work.
Right.
And I walked out of that situation like, okay, like I don't feel a way about this because I know what I want.
Right.
And so I came into the dating space with that mindset of like, if it's not this, don't even waste my time, don't even waste your time, because this is what I'm looking for. And so that intentionality is what she picked up on. And it was like the perfect timing. But the same thing was happening for me. I got to this place where I was like, you know what? I went on a few dates and we'll get into what those dates were. And she knows the stories behind it. I just wasn't seeing what I felt like I needed to see in order to feel comfortable with moving to that next step at all in any of these relationships or dating situations, right? And so I was like, you know what, God? I'm done. If you want to bring somebody to me that you feel is the person that I need and that I need to move forward with, then I'm open to it, but I'm done. And that's when we connected.
So we both were done.
Right.
That's
Y'all both were done.
conclusion.
That's the theme. Listen, y'all probably need to be done to finally find a person. Honestly,
real, though.
I want to know what was on your profile. Do you remember, or do either you remember what was on the profile?
I do. Yeah. So it was, and I don't remember verbatim what was on there, but you know, I had some photos on there, and then my message was like, I am pursuing my dreams and I'm living the life of my dreams. And if you want to join me, these are the things that have to be there. Yep.
Woo! Hold on.
So it was like him being intentional is what was like, ooh.
That's very assertive.
Oh,
yes.
right, like literally, no. But I explained to you how I got to that place.
Yeah.
It was like kind of anger.
Yeah, right. He was like, I'm kind of angry.
I'm kind of angry, but I'm also like, you know, this is what it is. It's got to be this. And so I just listed other things that I felt I needed in order for me to be my best self, right? And that's what I was focused on. It was like, it's no longer about you. It's no longer about her. It's not about what she looked like. It's not about what she got, what she gonna take. It's not about you at all. I'm taking accountability and ownership of where I'm at. And that's what I reflected in my profile. I said, you got to be selfless. You got to be compassionate, because I'm gonna make mistakes. I'm not perfect. So I need you to be able to forgive me in the process of making those mistakes. And you got to be growth minded. You have to have a growth minded, and you got to have spirituality and God front and center. And if it's not that, we can't even have a conversation.
Man, you're preaching right now, bro. You know what I tell guys, because we have conversations. There's a lot of dudes that are follow the platform that are single, going through their dating, all that kind of stuff, right? Yeah. And I always tell them, I say, yo, a lot of y'all don't have a list of 10 things that you even want in a partner.
Facts.
All y'all care about is she look good, she got a big ass, she got big titties, and I'm good. And that's your list. Right. She look 3 things. She looks good, big ass, big titties.
Facts.
That's not, you know what I'm saying?
And that's when y'all be out here getting hurt.
That's
like,
exactly.
Right.
You can find anybody that looks like that,
100%.
right? And there's a bunch of people that fit that criteria. So you have to really hone in. And that's why I'm glad that you mentioned your profile, because it's important for men to understand, like, yo, you have to be really intentional about who you want.
Yeah.
You have to be.
And I had so many people telling me, yeah, you're too much of this, and you got to dial it back a little bit. I was like, nah, that's who I am.
I had the same thing.
Yeah, I'm like, that's me.
Same.
So
I love that. Yeah.
If what I'm projecting through this, which is my authentic self, isn't good enough, then you're not my person.
Right. So you had the same, Santia, you had people telling you the same thing?
Oh my God. I had so many friends and family members that were like, you're looking for like a knight in shining armor. You're being too aggressive with like what you want. Like you're not gonna find everything on your list, which I knew, but I'm like, these are like core things, foundational things that I need in a partner. If this is too much for a man, he's not the one. And I moved like that. It wasn't being bitchy. It wasn't being arrogant. It wasn't being anything like that, because I still moved in feminine energy. But I just let men know, which has happened, that happened several times when I was dating,
Mm-hmm.
I would literally get up from a date and be like, you seem like a great human, but we're not compatible. I don't even want to waste your time because at this point, I would be just getting a free dinner. And I was just very direct. And I'm like, I don't want to do that to you. So you have a good day. And like some of them got upset, but a lot of them were like, damn, well, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So like, but I feel like too many people waste time going on multiple dates, knowing that that's not your person. For the women, it might be because you hungry. For the men, it might just be because you lonely. So for me, I'm like, if you're not what I want, I'm not even gonna do you like that because why? What's the point? What am I gaining from this?
Right. And you know what's so interesting? I see a lot of content on social media about like first dates and who pays for the date and who does this and men feeling like they're being taken advantage of and all that. So I love when we have a woman that can come in here and talk about, yo, I never even, that wasn't even my experience. Right. If I was on a date and that wasn't what I was interested in, I'm leaving.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? Because we have so many guys on social media that believe this whole idea that women are only going on dates to take advantage of you.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, some potentially, for sure. I'm not going to sit here and be naive. There's definitely a few. But I don't know. In my experience, when I was dating, I really didn't go through that.
Right.
I feel like you're going to go on a date. You're going to go on a few dates with people that you just don't match up with.
Facts.
And that's okay.
That's part of the game. You spent 50, 100, however much money. You got to take that L. That's part of the game, right? 100%. But then you're going to meet that person that makes it worth it, right? Like in your situation. One of the things that you guys talked about is healing. You guys both have a history before y'all got in a relationship of healing. Can y'all talk about how important it was to heal before you guys, or start your healing journey and progress through your healing journey before you guys got to this point where you guys are in a relationship now, and like what that looked like for you?
For sure. I think you touched on a couple of things that brought up some stuff that I wanted to share because I think it'll be very valuable for men.
Please do.
So let me ask you a question real quick, and I'm going to stay on topic with what you said.
Ahead.
Like, what would you do if you had a time machine? What would you do?
A time machine?
Like, if you could either go back in time or go forward in time, what would you do? What would you?
To be honest, I wouldn't do either. Bro, I'd stay right in the present. I don't know if that's the answer you want, but
that's fine. That's fine. What would you do if you had a time machine?
I think I'll stay in the present too.
Just stay here right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you could go back in time and tell yourself something, you wouldn't do it? You would allow yourself to go through everything you went through? See? That's why I framed it this way.
Yeah. That's a good question. I probably would go back in time and tell myself a few things for sure.
And why would you do that? What would be your motivation?
To avoid the pain.
Facts. So
Same.
In the process of healing, the number one thing you need to figure out is what you talked about. What are your values? What do you need? And the reason why is your values, being able to communicate them clearly, is a freaking time machine, bro. It's going to save you so much time going forward and all of these experiences. So if you know what you stand on, it's going to, nope, that ain't it. Nope, that ain't it. No. It's saving you time and saving you money. So ultimately, any dude that has that fear or concern that she gonna get me, she gonna do this, the reason why you have that fear is because you haven't built this boundary around you of safety that's values. If you're not spiritual, we're not having a conversation. If you don't, and what does that mean? Being clear about what that means, right? Not just saying a word, but actually describing, this is what this is. This is what I need. And knowing your needs and knowing your values, that is the process of healing. So getting to a place, for me, I had to go through an experience, bro. Like, I look back and I'm like, dang, all of those people were sparring partners for me to learn what was inside of me. They all were mirror reflections and showing me what was inside of me so that I can go heal it, right? But what does that process of healing look like? I have not gone to therapy with a therapist. That's just not my approach, but I recommend it for people that feel like they need it. She knows me. I'm like, I'll go navigate and become a therapist overnight. That's just the way my brain works, but everybody's not built that way. And I'm not saying that as a humble brag. That's just, we all have our own ways of approaching things. And so for me, I actually studied the techniques that therapists use, bro. And I applied them on myself. And we still do this to this day. So like
every single day.
On our honeymoon, bro, the healing never stops. On our honeymoon, we spent 2 days going through my trauma that I've experienced as a child and her trauma that she experienced as a child. And we worked through them together. one by one by one by one.
Break
for 2
it
days
all the
straight,
way
bro.
down. Yeah.
In Jamaica on our honeymoon, we were doing that on the beach. So like the healing never stops. It's an ongoing, everyday process. And your reason for it is you want to become clear about who you are.
Yes.
Because it's going to save you so much time, bro.
And pain. And pain.
Bro, I like when I have episodes where a guest just goes off like how you did, I always like to give the audience some time. So we just gonna let that sit for a little bit because you just gave, bro.
It's real,
You
bro.
talked about the honeymoon. I think we gotta change the name for y'all.
Facts.
Like it's probably we can't call it a honeymoon.
It's a healing moon.
It was
healing moon, healing retreat, or honeymoon, healing retreat, or we gotta find a name.
We all just
do that all day.
We do it all day, every day. And so what does that process look like? Like I have developed an approach that works for us and works for me that I wanted to share. Like what I do, I go through and like read affirmations. So I'll get a list of like 20 to 30 affirmations. I am healthy. I am wealthy. I am loved. I am happy. Anytime I read one that doesn't feel 100% true,
what do?
I dive into that one thought and I try to go in there and say like, what is my version of this then? One of the ones we've been working on recently together is about wealth. Right? We both grew up in environments where there was in and out of actually either having money at some point in time and not having money, right? And it's just being black, just in general in America, most of us don't grow up with wealth.
Trauma. Yeah.
So there's these things that you hold on to over time that you don't even realize is there.
You're right.
And so like just the thought for me of I am wealthy was like, when I said that, I didn't feel 100% as like, this is 100% true. It didn't feel 100% true inside of me. And so what was my version? I am kind of wealthy, but I'm not really there yet, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All right, let me process that. Where is this coming from? Is this always true? Am I always feeling this way? What is making me even think about this in the first place? Am I comparing myself to somebody else? Okay, if I'm comparing myself, who am I comparing myself to? And why am I comparing myself to them? What got me to attach that idea to that person or that type of people and not associate it with myself? And then now that I understand where that came from, how do I reframe it in a way where it can actually feel more empowering to me? So instead of saying I am not wealthy right now, I'm saying I am working with my wife to build wealth. We collectively have come together and God's light is shining on us in a way that is going to allow us to build more wealth than we can even imagine. And that felt good. So now that becomes my new thought. And so I'm going thought by thought by thought by thought by thought.
And we did that for 2 days.
As a couple.
My
to
Lord.
reframe and reposition ourselves, bro. So that process I developed for myself before we even met.
Y'all prayed before y'all got here or something?
You said, did we pray?
No.
Did y'all pray? Y'all are going off right now. I'm not gonna lie. I'm trying to figure out like what in the world, bro.
I'm telling you, bro.
Listen,
I feel like we unlocked something.
I love that.
Like when we first met, that it was almost like a cheat code. Because before we even got engaged, we set expectations for the relationship. Then we got engaged, we set expectations for the engagement, and then we did the same thing for marriage. And we actually he typed out everything.
Okay.
So we knew the roles, responsibilities, we knew what to expect. We knew, okay, if you're triggered, this is what needs to happen. Like, so that there's no confusion, so that he can never say, well, you never told me that. And I can never say, well, you never told me that. So it's clear and concise. And I feel like when that's the case in anything, there's peace.
Yeah.
So like we created immediate peace. And I'm not saying that like our relationship is perfect, but like we rarely ever argue.
Right.
Because we know how to like diffuse any conflict, to be honest.
Our last argument was almost a year ago, bro.
Yeah.
I could tell y'all are entrepreneurs, even if I didn't know your background. I could tell that y'all are entrepreneurs just because it sounds like y'all created a standard operating procedure.
No, we did though.
For the relationship.
Because it's like, why? Like we can literally make this what we want. Why do we have to go and do what society normally does, or what our parents did, or grandparents? Why don't we make it exactly what we feel comfortable with and we can thrive in? And that's what we did.
And if you think about what you just said, like a relationship is a business, bro. Like a marriage is a business.
That's a fact.
What's the point of a business? A business is a system and a structure and a group of people that come together that offer value, right? Mm-hmm. We look at this the same way. Mm-hmm. We're offering value not just to ourselves, but to everyone else.
Right.
And ultimately offering value to God. Mm-hmm. We want to honor him through this. Mm-hmm. That's what this is about.
100%.
One of the things you talked about, I know you said you didn't go to therapy, right?
Yeah.
One of the things that we do, and anytime we talk about therapy, I always like mentioning this, we do a free webinar where we teach Black men, Black people just in general, how to find a dope Black therapist. Because a lot of Black people don't know the steps, right? When I first started, the whole reason why we started this platform is because I went through my healing journey. When I was going through my journey, I got into therapy, and I started with a Black woman, and she's still my therapist to this day. But I didn't know what the hell to do, right? Like I had a friend that was going through therapy, right? Yeah. So she was like, yo, go ahead, do this, blah, blah, yada, 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 right? And so that helped me out a lot. But if I didn't have her, I wouldn't have known what to do. A lot of Black people don't know where to go and what to do to find a therapist, or they try something on Google and they don't find somebody good, then they say therapy ain't for me, right?
Yeah.
And so we teach a webinar where we go through step by step. This is what you need to do. This is what you need to look out for. This is how you read a profile. This is where you find Black therapists. All that stuff, right? Yeah. So this is just for the people that are watching the webinar that are like, or watching the episode that want to figure that out. Go to the link in our bio and click the first button. It'll teach you, it'll take you to the webinar where you can sign up, and then you can go through the webinar and you'll see how to find a Black therapist. Another thing that you mentioned is affirmations, right? One of the things that we do, we have a platform called Safe Haven, right? Okay. It's a holistic healing platform. This is where we connect Black men with Black mental health professionals. We have a support network, we have groups, we do weekly events, things of that nature, right? We also have an affirmation generator, right? Because one of the things that I was doing through my healing journey that resonated a lot when you were talking about affirmations, my therapist was like, go find a list of affirmations. And when you find that list, if you read one that doesn't really feel like it's you, right? Then you need to take that from the list, and that needs to be the affirmation that you say to yourself every day, right? And I was like,
I love that.
Like, man, shut up, I ain't doing that, man. Right? But when I started doing it, I started reading these affirmations. I was like, yo, bro, this one feels so cheesy. I'm not saying this is so crazy. Like, this is so crazy. But I realized it's because I didn't really feel that way about myself. So I'm calling it cheesy because I don't feel that way about myself, and I'm trying to reject it, right? So we created the affirmation generator. It uses AI to basically build affirmations for Black men, right? So
that.
So you can
go. I was literally just talking about this. We were just talking about this last week.
Really?
That needed to exist.
So
the fact that you got it, that's
crazy.
So you can literally go into Safe Haven right now. Any Safe Haven member has access to it. They can type in, like, if I'm dealing with anxiety, they can type in anxiety, and then it'll pump out a list of like 5 affirmations, starting with Black man or their name. That helps them with dealing with anxiety. So I always want to mention that.
That's what's up,
but yeah, you didn't talk about, Santia, you didn't talk about your healing journey. We ain't gonna forget about you. What was that journey like? What did you do? How did that look for you?
So I did go to therapy.
Okay.
Therapy was like my first step, and I had a Black woman.
Okay.
And I went through probably like 6 therapists because I'm just like, I'm not feeling y'all. And at first I had like some people that weren't Black, and I'm just like, I can't connect with you. So when I did find the right one, she taught me so much stuff. And I literally was with her for maybe like, I don't know, 2.5, 3 months. And then I just took everything she taught me and just applied it in my own way. And I remember I was going through the healing process, and I remember I had to forgive people. I had to have conversations with my father, some other, people in my life that were close to me, and honestly forgive them. I wrote letters and burned them. And I made sure that I wasn't bringing anything into my next relationship that could possibly affect like the outcome.
Right.
And made sure that I was actually ready and prepared. And I actually felt like I deserved it. And so like, once I did that, I kind of started to have this realization that you keep attracting the same men in different bodies, and it's not their fault. And that was so hard for me to accept, because I remember my mom told me, and she said this to me twice in 2 different relationships, and I was like, oh my God, whatever, I love myself, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, do you really love yourself? And I was like, yeah, like, what are you talking about? Of course I do. And she was like, so why do you keep allowing the same things to happen in every relationship? And I was like, because it's their fault. They're attracted to me, to my light. And she was like, nope, got to dive deeper than that. Do you love yourself? And I kept getting like madder and madder every time she asked that. But after this last relationship before meeting him, it had brought me so low that I was like, there has to be something that I can do to fix this pattern. Because I can't expect these men to fix something in me so that I can stop attracting these men. And with the same personalities and demeanors and everything else. And so I took a real look into like, why am I attracted to this type of men? And I found out I had daddy issues. I found out that I had self-esteem issues, even though like, you know, people always think that I'm this most, you know, this super confident woman at that time. And I just started finding out things about myself that I didn't know was there. Right. And so once I actually had those conversations with those people, but also myself and little Santia, and said, you can let this go. You don't have to deal with this anymore. You deserve better. Reading those affirmations became easier, and it actually felt real to me. And that's when I knew, like, these are my standards. Like, this is what I deserve. I know I deserve at this point because I've done the work. Right. I did like 3 straight months of like healing. And I didn't date nobody. It was very hard, but I wasn't texting nobody. I wasn't going on dates. I was doing nothing. I was like, I'm going to sit in this. And it was painful. I went in and out of like, you don't deserve this. You deserve this. You don't deserve this. It's them. No, okay, it's not them. What? So, and I just kept going through this cycle and this in and out. And then finally I got to a point where I was like, here it is. This is what I need to heal from. And once I did it, I was meeting people and I was like, these are my standards. Oh, that's too much. Cool. Have a good day. And that was it. It wasn't like, oh, well, should I give him a chance? Oh, well, he has these 3 things, but not this one. So, and I just got to a point to where it was like, if it's not all of this, not meaning you got to be 6'5", you got to be a this and that, but meaning you're God-fearing, you're respectful, you have plans for your future, you want a wife, you actually want to be married, not like, well, we'll see what happens. Let's just go with it. Let's just flow with it. Like, it was like, if you're not telling me straight up that you're ready to settle down, I'm good. And that's how I moved.
All right, I'm interrupting this podcast episode to let you guys know to leave a review on the podcast. Please, 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 if you are listening to this episode and you're finding value in this episode, you're enjoying the conversation, or you've enjoyed a previous episode or conversation, and it's safe to operate your phone right now, please leave us a review. Your review is a free and easy way to support us, and it helps us reach more people like you. We're on a mission to build a stronger, more connected Black community, starting with Black men. And you can help us on that mission by taking a minute out of your day to leave a review. Your review helps us generate more listeners, which in turn generates more revenue, allowing us to expand the platform even further. So please take a few seconds out of your day. I know you're busy. I understand. I know you're doing a lot, but it will help us greatly if you would just take a few seconds out of your day to leave a review right now. Did you leave a review yet? All right, let's get back to the episode.
Man, listen, man. Y'all are preaching right now. Okay? All right. And I'm so glad y'all are talking about the healing journey, because I relate to both of you guys' story. Yeah. Santia, with you, I feel like I've hit that place, right? Where it's like you go through a relationship and after the relationship, you're like, hold up. I don't know. It's like, what the hell happened? How did I get here? Facts. Right? Like, how did we go from there to here? Facts. Right? First of all, how was I even in this relationship? But it's long. What was I even thinking? Exactly. You get out the relationship, you start having all these epiphanies, right? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I got literally in my relationship before the relationship I'm in now, I had got cheated on. Right? Okay. And so whenever I tell this story, I always make sure I preface it by letting people know I don't blame myself for being cheated on, right? Yeah. There's nothing that you can really do to stop somebody from cheating. At the end of the day, it's their choice, it's the decision to make, right? But what I do blame myself for was staying in the relationship as long as I did, right? And even rushing into that relationship, because that's what I did too. I rushed into that relationship, right? And if I had enough courage, because I didn't have enough courage to be alone at that time. If I had enough courage to be alone, I wouldn't even experience that trauma, right? And there's this concept called compounded trauma, where you have trauma underneath the trauma that you actually experience, right? So trauma that causes more trauma, right? So my trauma of not wanting to be single and not wanting to be alone and not wanting to work on myself, which is really a fear of abandonment, led to me rushing into another relationship, led to me getting cheated on, which is now betrayal trauma that I have on top of the fear of abandonment, right?
Yes.
So I'm glad you guys talked about that, because what people don't understand is you're going to have to do the work regardless.
Yes.
The work is going to have to get done.
Has to.
Whether you do it before the relationship, during the relationship, after the relationship, the work has to get done. There's no not doing the work.
You can't run
You can't
from
skip
it.
that part.
Right. There's no not doing the work.
Yeah.
One of the things you talked about, Santia, is the letter that the letter that you wrote, that you used to like burn letters and that kind of thing. You write letters. You like, is that like
I'm a writer.
Yeah.
So,
okay. I see. Right. So, because you also have another thing that you did called the Dear Future Husband or Hubby, right? Mm-hmm. Can you talk about those letters and why that was so important to you, and like what like led up to you writing those?
Yeah. So it actually started in 2016. I had got out of a relationship with someone that I thought was gonna be my husband at that time. And that was the first time that I think my abandonment like issues started coming out, and trauma, and then the daddy issues and things like that. And I remember my mom, she was like, my mom plays a big role in like everything, to be honest, with this, even this story. But anyway, she was like, you should start writing how you feel, like, so that you can get it out. And I was like, I can do that, but I just feel like it's just still not gonna get me to where I need to be. And she was like, well, why don't you start writing letters like to your future husband? And I was like, man, that's so corny. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, why would I do that? And she was like, no, because it's part of like manifesting. And I was like, and at that time I didn't really know what, like, I wasn't into like manifestation. Like to me, that's prayer, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, I'm already doing that. She was like, but it's making it plain and clear. And so I started doing it. I just was like, I don't got nothing else to lose at this point. So I started doing it. And it got to the point to where I wasn't even thinking about it, and it would just pop up, and I felt like it was God saying it's time to write another one. And so I did that from 2016 all the way until the end of 2022.
Oh, you did it for 6 years?
Yeah. He got all the letters.
Oh, you got all the letters?
That was his wedding gift.
Bro.
Oh.
So at our wedding, she gave me a binder that she put together, walking through the photos of throughout our relationship and the letters that was showing and matching those moments in our relationship verbatim, all the way up until from the moment we met to the moment we got married.
Ladies, step it up. All right, go ahead.
So everything that I wrote, he ended up being. Like everything. And I remember I showed him my last letter, which was a month before I met him. And it was him.
Everything.
And
it was the scariest thing ever.
Yeah. And
like things I have never even talked to anybody about myself that she had in her letters.
It was crazy. It was very crazy. And that's like when I met him and he was like, this is me. I was like, huh? He was like, yeah, this is me that you're describing. I was like, oh, okay. Well, hi. But exactly yeah, so like, it's crazy how God will take you through different moments and processes and all these different things that lead to one moment. And I feel like that was the one thing that I was fighting to do, that just to me, it also kind of defined the meaning of being intentional. Because as women, and I'm gonna just speak to the ladies real quick.
Yeah, no, please do, because they watching.
I think as women, we feel like we just show up and this is your gift. Like, I'm your gift. I don't gotta do nothing. I don't gotta change nothing. I don't gotta prepare. I'm already a wife, even though I don't know nothing about being a wife. I never seen a wife. I don't have no wives in my family. I don't got no friends that are wives, but I'm a wife. And they don't understand that it takes, I don't know if you can cuss.
Go ahead, please do.
It takes fucking work. Just like your job, your degree. For me, I'm an athlete. My sport, it takes work, and it's not pretty. It's not gonna always be fun. It's not always gonna be, it makes you, it puts a mirror to your face. It makes you realize, like, damn, I'm not perfect. I might need to change these ways. I might need to learn these skills, and my feminine energy might not be the best. Like all the things that Kevin Samuel might have said, he might have said it in a messed up way. a lot of it is true. And especially in our community, we're not taught how to be wives. I didn't grow up in a household where I saw the perfect role model of what I should be, creating who I am around. And so like I had to watch podcasts, I had to read books. I was talking to married men that actually were happy about how did you find her? What was she like? I asked married women, what should I do to become more like this? I actually watched more married men podcasts than women because they're men. They gonna tell me what they need, what I should be, that. So I feel like we don't often do the work, and we feel like this is who I am, take me or leave me.
Right.
And then most of the time we get left and we end up by ourselves. So like, just like we want the men to heal, we want the men to do the work. Ladies, you have to also do the work, because if not, you're gonna have a very hard time finding your person. Because most men that are good men are not going to accept you just saying, this is me. Like, you have to compromise, you have to work, you have to grow. And again, it's okay. Again, most of us are not taught this, but it's your job as a grown person to go and get that healing, go and do that work so that you can be prepared when that person comes and finds you.
Right.
So that's something that I made sure I did so that I had no excuses or he could never tell me, well, I feel like you should have did this, or how come you're not like this? Like, I had to do that work. And me doing that work attracted a good man.
Right.
And I want to say there's no retirement from that work.
Yeah, it's constant.
You always get, it's never ending. From the moment you're born to the moment you die, you should be working. And one other thing, I know you got other questions, but I just want to add on to what she's saying, because I think it'll be valuable, is we have this concept in our minds as modern people that we need work-life balance, right? And that balance doesn't mean I'm just gonna not, I'm gonna work and then I'm just gonna go do whatever I wanna do. What we should be focused on, and this is my recommendation and how we approach it, is that time when you're not working, you need to spend a good chunk of that time working on yourself.
Learning.
You can spend all of your energy and effort external, focused on creating in the external world and providing in the external world, but at what point do you take a look inward and start working on what's inside of you? And I salute you for doing that, bro, because you already know. I ain't even got to say it. You've done enough interviews at this point in time. There's not enough of us having this conversation as
Most men do not
and
care.
It's facts. And it should be our number one priority. We're so focused on external wealth and external, material things, and we spend zero energy on internal wealth. And what does that look like, right? In order for you to get to where you want to get to in life, you have to be a better version of yourself to get there.
Right.
We always think, I'm gonna go create this, I'm gonna go do this, I'm gonna go do. And in reality, the most work you can do is here. And that is your time machine. That will condense the amount of time it takes for you to normally get to where you want to be, because you're now who you need to be for God to give it to you.
And then you're gonna attract your purpose partner.
Facts.
Which also just propels you into purpose.
Facts.
And now doors are opening that would have never been open because you found your God-given partner.
Facts.
And God loves marriage. God blesses marriage.
Stop all the excuses. Like it's you said something else. I call it your shadow self. Yeah. Right. When the trauma is under the trauma, it's your shadow self. And I didn't make that up, but it's it's a psychological term. But it's real. It's like, but your shadow has depths. Like, and there's levels to that shadow. I don't know if you've ever seen that picture, like the iceberg, where there's like a little bit of an iceberg on top, and
there's
below.
A huge,
Facts. There's levels and levels and levels of trauma. And so one of my favorite moments in our relationship related to healing, bro. Her and I, we were driving to
New Orleans,
Orlando first.
Oh, okay.
So we could have flew to Orlando, but we drove from Atlanta to Orlando. So we would have a road trip together.
How long was that?
Was it like 8 hours it took us?
Yeah. And that was pretty early.
That was like, a month into of us.
Yeah, we like met and then we went.
Oh, word.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was
I was like, we go. We
Yeah,
vacation.
like-
We need to know.
Yeah.
Like, it was really, we need to know.
Yeah,
Like, before
because we
waste
didn't
any
want to waste no more time.
we
We're
need
like,
to know.
let me see if I can
is-
spend time
facts.
with this person. Like,
That's
drive.
what it was about.
Okay.
And so on that drive down, we were literally, that's when this started, of us focusing on how do we heal. And we got so vulnerable with each other, telling each other things that we wouldn't normally tell people.
Like a month in.
But we knew we had to go to those depths in order for us to see if this was truly who we supposed to be with. And she cried on the way down. I cried on the way down. We literally got to this point where we realized, like, man, there's trauma that's still sitting with us from when you were like 5 and when I was like 4 that we hadn't even processed yet, that was still dictating our personality and how we showed up into the world. And what's crazy about that is your inner world determines what you attract in your outer world, bro. It does.
Talk about that.
So if you have cobwebs and roaches and rats and and all of this other stuff crawling around in there, what you think your external environment is going to be. The exact same thing. And I think, you know, yeah, you are born in where you're born and you have no control over that. But as an adult, you can't keep using that excuse. Once you hit 21, you got to let that go.
Yeah.
It's all on you at
Heal
that
from
point.
that.
And you have to look around and say, all right, let me look at where my environment is. Am I happy with what's here? And if you're not, don't go outward looking for answers. Go inside you first. Because if you start going outward with that trauma still inside of you, you're going to attract more situations that's forcing you to look inside of you. So go heal what's in there first. Clean it all out. Like, do that spring cleaning, bro. Like, and that's really what you're saying.
And it also takes the blinders off.
Facts.
Like, you were able to see.
Take accountability for your situation. That's the other thing with her and I both, like, profess all the time. It's like, all right, the reason why we haven't had an argument since December, was it like December 6th of last year?
Yeah,
4th?
something like that.
Like, we still remember. It's because when she brings something to me that's bothering her, I take accountability immediately. When I bring something to her that's bothering me, she takes accountability immediately. And the reason why we're able to do that is because we've established this mantra of we're on the same team.
Yes.
And no matter what's happening around us, we see we can't win the championship without each other. Like, we will never get there without each other.
Shaq and Kobe.
Facts. I was waiting on you to say it. But no, like, that's what it is. And so we now are like sparring partners, helping us identify trauma. I think, there may be something there. Like, you may be triggered. Like, what's going on? Is like, where is this coming from? How far back does this go? So I became her therapist and she became mine.
And you can dissect problems without screaming, yelling, fighting, pointing the finger, attacking someone's character. You can come into a whole situation that you might be pissed off about or angry about and just say, I'm gonna just be honest. Like, I don't like the way you made me feel when you did this. And it's not like, nigga, like, blah, and then you just start going in, and then he's, at that point, he's like, okay, I'm shutting down.
Done. Yeah.
And then if he shut down, then I'm gonna get even more, you know what I'm saying? So like, we learned how to control that. And it's like, you can be upset, but at the end of the day, we're on the same team.
Right.
I'm your wife and you're my husband. And no matter what, we're gonna figure this out. So let's do it peacefully.
Right.
Because I grew up in a household where everything was screaming and yelling and just all the time. And like, I always promise myself, like, when I have children and I get married, I'm going to raise trauma-free children. Like, I can't, of course you can't protect them from everything, but as your mom and as their father, we can at least create an environment where you don't have to see all of that chaos, and then you're gonna internalize that, and that's going to be your reality.
Right.
And now you're dealing with that pain and that, and that suffering and all the other stuff. So I just learned that with men, I learned this from, watching podcasts with men. Like, y'all take things, y'all will accept things more if you come and it's soft.
Right.
And it's not
100%.
Screaming. It's like, look, I need to talk to you.
Right.
Like, I really just, I want to let you know, like, I love you, but blah, blah, blah.
Boom.
Instead of it just being like,
Is that
and it's
easy?
like you almost getting punched in the face, and it's like, dang, I didn't even have time to process it. So that's what I learned. And he was the first person that I actually was able to do that with. Everybody else, I was immediately defensive. And I would start screaming and yelling, and I just didn't know how to control that because they were giving me that back. But I realized that no matter what they doing, I still got to be able to compose myself. But our last argument, I had an opportunity to do the same thing. I could have went back upstairs and was like, I'm about to ruin his whole night. And I don't even care. But that was the first time I was like, no. Stay down here. Relax. He got to be up and go speak in the morning. Y'all are on the same team. He didn't do this purposely. He didn't do this to be spiteful. He loves you and you love him. And I went to sleep. But I was like, I was walking up the stairs. I was like, ooh, let me go ruin his night. About to go ruin his night. And I was like, I turned back around. And I called my mom and said, Mom, he the one. And she said, well, I know that, but why? And I told her, I said, Mom, like, I actually didn't go and do what I normally do. And try to get, he's clearly shut down, but I'm gonna keep poking. I said, I didn't poke. And she was like, you learning.
But what I want to add to that, and that's beautiful, is I earned it.
Yes.
Talk about it, bro.
Yeah. Talk about that.
Talk your shit, bro. Talk your shit, bro.
No, like literally. So if you think about it from the perspective of, you said Shaq and Kobe, right? If Kobe would have came out and at any point in that season and was just missing every shot, turning the ball over, getting technical foul after technical foul, blowing the game for the team, by the end of the season, Shaq not going to throw him the ball no more, right? So in that moment, she threw me the ball because game after game after game after game, I was showing up. And I earned it, bro. You get what I'm saying? And what did that look like? So I wanted to kind of backtrack because you reminded me of something. I'm still answering your question about healing.
Look, y'all good, bro.
So I built
at this point, keep going. I ain't got no.
I forget these questions.
Yeah, I ain't got no. I'm about to throw my phone. Go ahead.
We survived the Amber Alert.
Yeah, we
good. So one of the things that I did as part of my healing journey, I realized that I had no idea that we had more than like 5 or 6 emotions as humans. I knew happiness, I knew sadness, I knew fear, I knew anger. You know what I mean? The basics.
Once you get past that first 4, it gets tough.
And
oh my God.
according to science, there's like 30,000 emotions. And I was like, I read that. I was like, where? What? How? What is that?
Exactly.
And I was so and I even getting to the point where I knew there was 5 emotions was
tough.
Yeah, that was like graduate level degree of understanding and emotions compared to where I was.
God.
Right.
And so once I realized, because I grew up thinking emotions were something women had. Literally, that's what my thought process was. I went to the Marine Corps, I was a Marine, so emotions weren't even allowed there.
Right.
So I had gone through this entire time not even understanding that there was emotions. But when I learned, and then I was like, what? There's emotions? And so I started diving into what are the different types of emotions. Like you said, anxiety, right? That's underneath that, there's a fear associated with anxiety. Anxiety is how it shows up. There's an underlying fear at the bottom of it. That's 9 times out of 10 an irrational fear that's creating that anxiety. And so I was like, whoa, hold on. So what I started doing, I created a system for myself where I started auditing my emotions throughout my day. So
you really an entrepreneur. I could tell you always got a system for everything.
He's an intech too, so very
that's how I
analytical
process. So I literally, like, you want to hear how far it goes? I'm gonna tell you. So I set up reminders on my phone to go off every 3 hours throughout the day. And what it said is, what emotion it's just popped up right now. What emotion are you experiencing? And every time it popped up, I would go into my phone and write down what emotion I was feeling. And I built a form, bro, that I filled out every moment, every time that popped up. And so after like 3-4 months of doing that, I saw my range of emotions. And I literally created a chart, bro, and a graph, and I still have it. I can show you after this.
Yeah, please.
And it shows me my emotional state over time.
Really?
Yeah. And so I would look at the emotional wheel, and I would, at that moment, I would look and pick where I'm at on that wheel, and I would write it down and track it. And so I saw the only time I felt anything other than happiness and peace or surprise was in my relationship. So every time I documented any negative emotion, it was coming from my dynamic in my relationship at the time.
You know what's so interesting? I'm about to tie this all together for you.
All right.
First of all, one of the things I love that you do is the reminders thing.
Yeah.
Because I do that too. I do, not necessarily that, but every morning at 10 a.m. I have a reminder that goes off. It says, hold yourself accountable. And that's my reminder to tell myself that whatever happens today, I hold myself accountable.
Facts.
Right? So regardless of what it is, I always find a way like, okay, what could I have done that could have made this situation a little bit better, right? So you talked about like tracking your emotions, like the data basically behind it.
Facts.
I work in tech too.
Okay.
Right. So that's why I built the AI solution and all that, and I know how to do all that stuff, right? So I work as a product manager. One of the concepts is you're always supposed to make data-informed decisions,
100%.
right? You know what I'm saying? So you had a whole chart
Facts.
analysis that you can kind of look at your data and be able to make decisions about what do I need to do in my life because I know how I'm feeling in these moments, right? And you basically came to the conclusion, I'm always feeling like shit in my relationship.
Facts.
Maybe my relationship is fucked up.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? That's the same thing we do with tech solutions, right? When we have a product and we're like, yo, this thing failed at this time and it's consistently failing at this time. What the hell is going on?
What's the root cause?
You know, what the hell? Exactly. Root cause analysis.
Facts.
So I'm so glad that you talked about that because I think there's a lot of brothers that are like in the tech space or like maybe not even in the tech space, but can just really resonate with what you said and take that as a practice, right?
Facts.
Like set up reminders for yourself.
Facts,
really,
bro.
and what it really forced you to do outside of your emotions, it forced you to check in with yourself.
That's the point.
You get what I'm saying?
Hold on. So
go ahead.
Let me pick up the ball from there, bro.
Let him cook. Go ahead.
So that's how I earned it in this relationship because I went from checking in with myself to constantly checking in with her. And that was a shot
100%.
every time. And I'm depositing into the bank.
Right.
And that creates safety.
And that creates
Which is what
safety and allowed
women
her to feel
crave.
that I was on her team in those moments where she needed to feel that the most.
Right.
Because I had consistently, how are you doing today? Is everything good? What's going on with you emotionally? How did that make you feel? What can we do to get you closer to peace? Like asking these questions and checking in throughout all of our interactions, throughout the process of us courting and then getting into a relationship and being, engaged.
Yeah.
It was always there. And that came from that practice that I was doing on myself. I built up that muscle that now I'm consciously always thinking about this and it's a part of who I am. And I was able to pass that on to her.
I ain't gonna lie, I might have to take that.
Please do. I hope everybody does. I hope everybody
And then like
does.
also the change behavior. Because me saying like this made me feel this way, I don't like it or whatever, he would immediately change it. It wasn't like it took weeks or months or he never did it. It was like literally the next second it was gone. And that almost felt fake for me. Because, and I remember calling my mom and my friends, I was like, I don't know, like, is this really who he is? Or, because if this is, he seems perfect, like, for real. And I wanted to run.
What's an example of when I did that?
So, a perfect example, let me not say something that's like super.
Yeah, find the right one.
Let me think about this.
Find the right one. Take your time. We ain't rushing.
Yes, I'll do that.
Right, cool.
So like I told him that I like flowers. And I was like, I would really like if you could like bring me flowers. And like this man set like a whole reminder on his phone to bring me flowers. Like,
it's that simple though, bro.
yeah.
It's that simple.
And he did it like as I was saying it. So it wasn't like I had to keep saying, can you please? I thought I said, and he does it. And I think for women, that's all we need is like that safety and security and knowing that you care about what I'm talking about. It's not annoying you. It's not bothering you. It's not nagging. But it's really like, this will make me feel peace. Can you add this to my happiness?
Yeah.
And for him to care about that opens up that's what's gonna make a woman open up. She's gonna give you everything.
Right.
If she knows that I don't have to worry. And so for me, that's what it was when all those times where we would, have conversations, it was like immediate change. And men, if you want to know how to get to a woman's heart and how to like actually get her to be committed to what it is y'all are trying to build and lead her, if you want her to submit, that's the formula.
Okay.
Like when I tell you something, and it's not like making you do it or forceful, but if I'm saying like this will really make me happy and you do it and you're consistent and you're not changing and you stay the same, it's not like 1 week you're doing it and then the next week you're different. Consistency making her feel peace, safety, and security. That's all we want as women.
Facts.
If you do that consistently, she gonna give you the world. She's gonna amplify you, amplify your dreams, help you get closer to your dreams. And he already know, like, it's team him. Like,
Right.
and I will follow him to the ends of the earth just because I trust him. And he's never done anything to break my trust. And he knows how important that is. Like, he knows where I've been. He knows my trauma. He knows my pain. So I feel like he actually cared about that. And because he cared about that, he did everything he was supposed to do as a man.
Right.
And if you're doing what you need to do as a man, I have no choice but to submit to that as a woman and follow that and trust that and give you what you need in order to continue to lead me and then our future children.
If she's done the work, I want to.
If you've done the work. Now, if you got trauma, then I can't.
I want to clarify that.
Right.
How you gonna just mess up the moment?
No. He just helped you out a lot.
Not for real though.
Because
For real. But look, I already
if
done
she's
preached
done
to them
the
lately.
work.
I said, y'all gotta do the work.
Yes.
Because then you'll be able to see, like, oh, this is a good man.
Right.
Like, let me be a good woman to him. So,
Man, we're gonna let that sit for a little bit. Because y'all, listen, man. I had some questions. And I always say, listen, these are potential questions because every so often you have an episode like this where y'all going off, right? Y'all already answered
Appreciate you.
few of the questions already, right?
Yeah.
One of the things I wanted to talk about that you guys are already getting into and I've already kind of explained why I want you to dive in a little bit deeper is the concept of like the femininity, masculinity thing, right?
Man.
Right? So I've seen...
Yo, give me some, bro.
I've seen you talk about how you helped Isaac step into like masculine or like what you do to like help him, play his masculine role. And then I've also seen you potentially talk about, or maybe you, Santia, talk about like how you were able to step into your femininity. You've also talked about that today.
Yeah.
Right. Can you guys explain the dynamic and how that works? Because you guys also, right?
like the roles that we play.
Not necessarily
I got you.
Okay, you understand,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, I got you.
And let me just round the question out, right? Because I want people to understand the context. You guys are both, in my opinion, and I don't really like using the word alpha, but just for the sake of the conversation, right? For people to understand, I would say you guys are both two alpha individuals, right?
For sure.
You guys both work in business. You guys both have things going on, right? A lot of times when men see an alpha woman, right, they get a little, they're like, oh shit, I don't know. Right? You know what I'm saying? So I want you to tell me, you feel me, break it down, how this works, and then Santia, you can also break it down as well.
Man, so I want to touch on multiple different points of what you said. So
Please do.
she talked about what she feels a woman's role is and how if a woman is showing up that way and if a man is showing up that way, then what can happen and what the outcome is. That's why I clarified if the healing has been done. So to wrap a bow around what we were talking about.
Healing is key.
The healing is key. But a part of what we did early on in our relationship, bro, we literally said, before we even talked on the phone for the first time, we talked about what type of relationship dynamic we both wanted.
Yes.
First and foremost.
So important.
What is that? And what do you mean by this? And what, like, when you say this, what does that actually look like in reality? So we both understand what that actually means. Very clear, very crisp. This is my definition, this is your definition, where is the alignment? And for us, we said we want a traditional dynamic. What is a traditional dynamic? Both of us being spiritual, one of the first and foremost, how we looked at it is, it's my responsibility to hear, follow, be obedient to God, right? I don't have any idols on earth. I follow him. And in following him, she trusts that I'm always going to show up in that way because I've made that commitment to him first.
Right.
That it's not you first to me, it's him first to me. And for her, she's following me because she knows I'm following him. And if I hear from him, she's honoring it and allowing me to give that to her and following it just because off the strength. That's the way our dynamic is. So the masculine means in our relationship is clear. My role is to have a connection with God and provide through that connection with God. Her responsibility is to amplify and support me and lift me up as high as I can possibly get to so that I can hear him and be more obedient to him. And in doing that,
keep going,
bro, that creates a dynamic where we can't lose. Because I'm always, no matter what she's going through or experiencing, I'm not checking with her first. I'm checking with him first, and giving that to her, and that's all she's gonna get. I'm not giving her nothing else. If it ain't coming from there, I'm not even gonna give it to you, unless we just mess around because we both goofy. We super goofy, like for real. But and then for her, what does that look like? My responsibility is to go to God so that God can let me see how to be my best version of him that I can be on earth. And in doing that, I'm going to go create because he's the creator. Right? So I'm creating. And in the process of creating, I'm bringing back the fruits of my creations to provide for her so that she can build a home for us so that there's peace in our house. And I don't have to be distracted on the day-to-day so I can focus on him. Does that make sense? So
it makes a lot of sense.
The masculine to us is not even about like, you know, all these things that people look at as masculine, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get the check at the restaurant. You got like that stuff is petty. That's too analytical. If you elevate yourself and elevate your thinking, you have to go back to the root of what it was. In the story, you know, you could believe it or not, Adam and Eve, the narrative that was there, but it was a blueprint, bro. And if you want to go further back to Genesis, it was even more of a blueprint. The first thing that God said was what?
Let there be light.
Facts. So let there be light. He spoke it into existence. But I don't just do that through my word. I do that through my activity, which is 6 days I execute, 7th day I rest. And we literally have implemented that in our relationship. And on that 7th day, we go back and connect to him. And we get fed again. And we feed each other. And then we come back out and go execute on what we're creating. Her responsibility, my responsibility is to lay out and create the earth. Her responsibility is to make sure that that earth is plentiful.
Brother?
Child, he done said it all, I guess.
I was about to say, Santia, you got anything to add to that?
I mean, that's what I believe in. Like, I think the key to like our relationship was the fact that we laid everything out. I told him straight up, I was like, I'm a traditional woman with a little bit of modern sprinkled in there because I own businesses and I'm an athlete. I said, but I feel like my role is to amplify my man. Like I should be pushing you as high as you can go and following what it is God wants me to do. And also telling you too, like God told me this as well. God spoke to me this, with this as well. Pray for him, cover him. Same thing for our children that we're going to have eventually. And I feel like that role is what allows me to stay also in my feminine energy, even when I'm out here in the world and I have to be an alpha woman, because I am. I have that combination. Yep. But I also know, like, okay, when I come home, I got to take off those shoes, and I can't give him the same energy I'm giving everybody else out in the world.
Right.
And so, because I trust him, that role is perfect for me.
Right.
And I feel like it makes it easy because. Yeah. If he wins, I win. If I win, he wins. So like, why would I not pour everything into him so that we are creating everything that we want for not just ourselves, but for our children and for the world? Because we both want to have impact on the world, right? Just in different ways. So I think he said most of what I was going to say, but I do think like, because I know his connection with God, I trust everything that he says. And he hasn't led me astray yet, to be quite honest. He's made me a better woman. He's brought me actually closer to God. I was already very close, but he took me in a place where I was like, dang, you can get this close? And so like, to me, that's what I craved, was somebody that was actually adding value. Too often we get in situations where like we gotta come back down levels so that we can be in that situation. And like, he was actually like pulling me up. And I was like, I never felt this before. I never felt like this was even possible. Like I thought I was always gonna have to come back down and, okay, I'm over here trying to like give you the feminine energy, but you're not in your role yet. So if you're not in your role as a man, me being in my feminine is gonna look like I'm nagging. Right. It's gonna look like I'm trying to tell you what to do. It's gonna look like, why you in my business? Because I'm like, but I want you to be great. If I can help you here and help you here, oh no, I don't want that. Like, I don't need you to do all that. Yeah. So it became that in a lot of relationships. And with him, he embraced it. He was like, oh, so you see this? All right, cool. I'm gonna actually act on that. And when he acted on it, blessings came.
Right.
And it's trust. Like, bro, I trust every word that comes out of her mouth. If
Vice
she comes
versa.
to me and she says, I'm noticing this, it's true. There's never even a question about, that's true. All right, since that's true, what do I need to do? How do I work on this and address this and fix this in myself so that we never have to deal with this again? And the reason why is we know that whenever we prioritize peace, God shows up.
We should have took a break earlier, but y'all was cooking. So we're gonna take a little couple seconds. Jeez Louise. God really has his hands on y'all. I'm sure y'all already know. But you can always tell when you're in a room with folks that are tapped in. And y'all are definitely tapped in. Like for real. Like me having this conversation with y'all, I'm telling y'all right now, this is definitely one of my better episodes. For sure. We've had some good episodes. I ain't gonna lie, we've had some good episodes. But y'all came up on here. Y'all are really doing a really good job. So I really appreciate y'all, man. Like there's rarely a time where I'm going through questions and I'm like, damn, they already covered this. They already covered this. They already covered that.
Facts.
So man, I know y'all gotta get out of here. So I want to be very, very mindful of you guys' time. One of the things I want to ask you guys before you leave is how can people find what you guys have? Maybe not exactly what you have, right? But how can people find their own version of it? Because there are people watching right now. We got some women. Maybe y'all could do something special where Isaac, you talk to the man, Santia, you talk to the woman, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. We have women that watch this. We have men that are watching this right now, right? And I don't want them to think that this is out of reach.
Yeah.
Right. So what are some things that they can do to kind of bring this within reach?
Man, so I can simplify it and then I can give context.
Yeah. Please.
For men, and I'm gonna look at the camera and say this. If you don't believe in anything, you can't expect any woman to believe in you.
Oh, Lord. Say that again.
Say it again. If you don't believe in anything, you cannot expect a woman to believe in you. And that's the root cause of most of the experiences that we have, especially if you're dealing with a woman that's healed. And how do you know if a woman is healed? Listen to the words she uses and watch her actions. And what's her connection? And how deep does she believe, right? If she's coming to the table and she doesn't have a belief system at all, I kind of believe in this and I may believe in it. She can't believe in you, bro. Period. It's impossible. It will never happen. And because it will never happen, you will never have complete trust. And if you can't have complete trust, you can't have a foundation that you can build a life on. It's impossible. So we can get past all of this. She's looking for money. She thinks she's a bad bitch and that's the issue. It ain't none of that. If she does not believe in anything, she will never believe in you.
I wanted to walk off that, brother.
It's real, bro. Like that's what it's clear to me. It's crystal clear. We had this conversation recently. She can speak to the women, but it's crystal clear to me. Because your responsibility, like I said, is to believe in him. And when I say him, it's whatever you attach to that or associate, you have to believe in something greater than yourself in order for you to elevate in life.
100%.
All of us want to grow. All of us want to elevate. All of us want to be better. You know, we want to be kings of our own castle. In order to get a castle, you got to know how to serve. And if you don't know how to serve, you will never be served.
Y'all sure y'all didn't pray? Oh my, you're cooking right now, bro.
It's
oh
real,
my
bro.
Lord, Santia, do you
Sure.
please?
What I would say to the women is if you are dating or interested in a man, very similar to what you said, if he does not believe in something higher than himself or believe in something greater than himself, then he can never show up in a relationship the way that you're going to want him to show up. If he doesn't have boundaries, if he doesn't know how to properly lead, if he doesn't know how to properly put himself in a position to actually be a head of a household, you're not going to get what you want. So instead of listening always to what a man says, look at his actions. Right. If his actions do not line up with his words, then he's not for you. If you don't feel immediate peace when you're in his presence, he is not for you. If you feel like you're in fight or flight mode all the time, run. Stop second guessing it. Stop trying to paint a different picture. Whoever he shows up as, believe him. He's not gonna change. You can't change him. You can't fix him. You can't heal him. You need to find someone that actually wants to be a husband. Like now, not tomorrow, not maybe in the future, but he is like, I actually want to be married. I want a wife. I want to be a husband. If a man is not telling you those words, but you know you want to be a wife, he's not for you. So stop trying to make these men fit into these different puzzle pieces that will never fit. Find the one that wants what you want, period. If a man don't want what you want, why are you there? Life would be so much easier. Have these hard conversations up front. Tell him straight up, this is what I want. I want a traditional marriage, or I want a modern marriage. I want children. Do you want children? Ask these questions up front and stop asking these questions when y'all 6-7 months in just to find out he don't even want kids. So stop wasting your time. Ain't nobody getting younger. So be intentional and find a man that is also intentional, period.
Okay. All right. Listen. Can you first, before you guys leave, tell the people how they can connect with you guys. I know you have intentional dating. You just finished talking about intentional, so this is a great segue into that. Right. And then Isaac, you can also talk about anything that you have coming up, anything that you want to promote, anything like that.
All right, that works.
Cool. So you can find, I guess, us and our content on Date Intentional 1 on Instagram. And then also my Instagram is trackbaby001. My website is santiadeck.com. And yeah.
Yeah. Y'all just go follow her. Y'all don't need to follow me.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you, she's lit. I'm gonna tell you something right now. They're gonna want to follow you.
I'm about to say,
they're gonna, you cooked up.
I appreciate it, bro.
Listen, y'all, before we end, y'all tap into that therapy webinar. If you guys are looking for someone that's gonna be able to help you to heal, a lot of the theme of today's conversation was supposed to really be around relationships, really around you guys' relationship dynamic. We talked a lot about healing, right? So if you guys are looking for a professional, you're looking for a therapist to help you, don't know how to take the steps, you've been struggling to find a Black therapist, let us help you in our webinar, right? So sign up. The link is in our bio. It should also be in the description of this episode, just to register for the next session. Man, I appreciate y'all. Isaac, Santia, this has been a dope episode.
I got one more thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
I love doing this.
Okay,
my team always laughs at me because I do this all the time. But your most valuable asset that you will ever have is a healed woman.
You know what?
I like that.
We're going to just walk off the set. Thank you so much for watching this episode. If you are planning an event or you are part of your organization's Black employee group and you are interested in having dope Black mental health professionals or myself come in and do a speaking engagement or a workshop or a keynote address or a panel, please click the link in our bio on Instagram or TikTok, scroll down and click book us for speaking and brand deals and fill out the form available on our website. Once you fill out the form, one of our team members will get back to you about how we can collaborate and create something dope for your organization. This is an unparalleled opportunity. We are currently the largest Black men's mental health platform, and we have a few slots available for our calendar year, and we would love to partner with you to create something dope for your organization if it makes sense for both parties, right? So go to the link in our bio, scroll down, click book us for speaking and brand deals, and fill out that form. If you're not on Instagram, the link should be linked in our description of this episode. And it is also on our website. If you go to expressyourselfblackman.com/speaking-brand-deals. That's expressyourselfblackman.com/speaking-brand-deals. If you are looking for a therapist, a Black therapist, and you've had a hard time finding one, you've jumped from therapist to therapist, or you just don't know how to find a therapist, we are teaching a free webinar. It's completely free, taking you from not knowing how to find a therapist, not knowing where to search for therapists, struggling with finding good therapists for you, not knowing what to look for in therapists, teaching you all of those different things, and also giving you the opportunity at the end of the webinar to be connected with one of our safe haven healers who are Black mental health professionals so that you do not have to go through the struggles of finding a Black therapist alone anymore, right? So if you're interested in that, you want to get connected with a Black mental health professional at the end of the webinar, or you just want to learn how to find a Black therapist by yourself, you can sign up for the free webinar. It's linked in our bio on Instagram and TikTok. You just click that free webinar link. Once you click the link in our bio and fill out the form,
You can also find it on our website at expressyourselfblackman.com/links and fill out the form there for our next webinar session. If you're not interested in any of that, right, but you know someone that may be interested in it, all we ask is that you please share it. If you want some of the merch that we show on the platform all the time, that we're wearing on the platform all the time, you can shop it at shop.expressyourselfblackman.com. And once again, we just want to say thank you so much for watching this episode. Thank you so much for supporting us. Please, if you are on YouTube, leave a like, subscribe, comment. If you're listening to this on an audio platform, please leave a review. It helps us out greatly. Thank you so much for your support. We're wishing you nothing but the best and sending you and your family and your loved ones love and light. Peace.
Sometimes I know you feel like you ain't got nobody to speak to. A shoulder to lean on somebody you could preach to. No, you need to hear it, my brother, I love you. We got way too much to live for. We got way too much to